Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and this is how to use Muck. Muck is actually a surprisingly tanky Pokemon with good stats overall, that its hit points and attack very strong. Its defenses could be better. Well, its defense could be better. Its special defense is awesome, and it doesn't really need that special attack and speed. So when you break that 100 base hit points, you're looking at a good tanky Pokemon. 75 defense is still good, and that 100 special defense with all that, good tankiness right there. Like very, very strong potential. On top of that, the attack at 105, you don't need to put too much investment into it to make it useful, which is just really awesome. Looking at its typing, Poison type, Pure Poison is great for tanks. That if you look at it, 2 weaknesses, 5 resistances, and Toxic Immunity. A lot of times you just have to worry about being a Pokemon that's setting up and then getting Toxic. Sometimes that could just burn you out and you're done right there. But with this, you're only really weak against Ground, which is your most common threat. Psychic is still a problem, but you don't see it as often, so that's alright. And again, you're trading it for a lot of neutrals and a lot of resistances, so you do have a lot of opportunities to set up your strategy. That you can bring it in on Pokemon that you're going to resist, and then you can just work it from there, which is really, really nice. Hopping into Pokemon Showdown, let's see what strategy I'm talking about with Muck, because all I could really do is come up with this one-trick kind of strategy that, while I would like to find more strategies for Muck, this is pretty much the strongest, most reliable one. Also, with this last move, it can kind of be anything. That we'll talk about this later, but first, let's go and look at the nature. I was thinking Careful Nature. That way we're trying to get that natural bulk from this high special defense and then put the rest into defense. So I was thinking 220 on the hit points and then 252 in defense, the rest in special defense, and you're going to have some good overall bulk. Your defense is about as high as it's going to be and that you're going to need. On top of that, your hit points are going to be solid, and your special defense is good from there. If you are really worried about that Earthquake, don't be afraid to really go and throw down that defensive minus special attack nature. So, come on. I can find you. It's here somewhere. What is it? Ah, Impish. So don't be afraid to throw down that Impish nature as well if you want those extra points in defense, and you'll sacrifice it off for the special attack gain that you would have from the special defense. So this is really if you're more worried about that getting set up against with ground type moves, since those are generally going to be physical, or yeah, those are going to be physical more than the other moves. And with Psychic, you know, once you're set up, you have still a good opportunity to make it work. Why 220 on the hit points? Well, because of Stockpile, you're going to be boosting your defenses more, so you're getting more gain over a longer period of time with those points going into your defenses. And since the Muck's natural hit points are so high, you can cut a couple points off of hit points and still get a good return as you bring up the overall stat total of your Pokemon. On top of that, it has the Poison Touch ability, which is really nice because you're going to be setting up with Power Up Punch, which means you have a 30% chance of poisoning your opponent on setup. You can't really complain about that. So the idea here is you use Stockpile to get really tanky, Power Up Punch to gain stats over time for your offenses, and then on top of that you have Gunk Shot for just massive amount of damage. That if you have 3 or 4 Power Up Punch, that with that 120 base power, you're going to be one-hit KOing a lot of Pokemon, which is good because you only have 8 power points. So the idea behind Gunk Shot is it's a bit riskier, that you do have to commit to a lot more Power Up Punching before you can comfortably take on a lot more tanky Pokemon. That if you're resisted, you know, it could really be bad if you don't 2 or 3 hit KO a Pokemon, because you're losing out on a lot of PP. The Power Punch Gunk Shot combo is nice though, because you're with this poison offensive typing that you're going to be resisted, or steel types are going to be immune to you. So that's where you can use Power Punch to sneak in a super effective or a neutral hit that will have a good amount of bulk because you are at +3, +4, and you can make it work from there. On top of that, you can also run Toxic here as well. That you can Toxic whatever you can, Power Up Punch whatever you can't, and that's kind of what you're looking at. With Protect, the idea is that you use that Black Sludge to gain 1/8 of your hit points over 2 turns while only taking damage once while being very tanky. Other than Toxic, what I had here was Fire Punch. Problem is you can be walled out by Pokemon that do have Flash Fire, which means Power Punch is going to be your main source of damage again. Not the worst thing, so it can work. Like with the Power Punch, you do have good options against Heatran as well. And it's kind of what you're looking at. So you can also run Curse instead of Power Up Punch, but that's where you start like risking it. That is nice to have that extra defense, which means you can go for that more pure special defense build. And then, you know, Stockpile +3 your defense, and you can get your defense to +6 through Curse. But I just like the Power Punch, more damage options, other things. So that's pretty much how you use Muck, that you can kind of work around its stockpiling, you can work around bulking up its offenses, and then just unleashing havoc on your opponent. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's how you use Muck.